Colors. We'll be right back. Go back to high school with Frontline.
Listen, if you're behind.
Molly Gerstein, one of the 59 teachers hired by Jim Henderson, is part of a controversial new academic program. For the first time, 9th grade students of widely varying abilities are put together into the same English and history classes. The program is part of a national experiment designed to counter academic and racial segregation and is called detracking or heterogeneous grouping.
You do not bounce the ball in here. It's already nuts enough. Sit your butt down. Sit down. If I teach a heterogeneous classroom where these kids are brought in to be part of the group, they're going to do a hell of a lot better than if you segregate them, tell them that they're stupid, put them in a lower level. I mean, and that's effectively what you're doing if you put them in a lower level, is saying you can't hack it in the real world. What chapter are you up to?
What chapter was that?
What chapter in Brave New World are you up to?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Tell me what's going on.
Nothing going on with me. Kirsten.
Give me these. Give them to me.
No, these are my friends.
Just hand them to me. I'll give them back. What are you doing with these?
Shoot with them.
Yeah, I know. So have you read last night? Did you take a book home and read? Okay. All right. Then this is what we're going to do. First of all, you have to say to me, I'm going to be able to make this up. Say it.
I'm able to make this up.
I'm going to try.
I'm going to try.
Yes, you are. And then you're going to do it. And guess what the deal is? When you make it up, you get the dice back.
Those are my dice stuff.
That's right. You got to make up the work. It's blackmail. I lied. Wasn't that mean?
Miss Gerstein, I got to come back with the dice.
Go get yourself a book. You come back with the book, and we're going to figure out what chapter you're on. Then we're going to give you assignments, and then you're going to do them. And you're going to do enough each day so you can handle it. So let me ask you this. What happened as an effect? And you must make a kid believe that they can do anything in order for them to achieve. Read it. You won't do that if you put them in a track. You take the gas right out of them.
There's an estimate that 10 million people are killed.
Harry's not dumb. Harry just needs extra time.
Africa controls at least 20% of the whole world's natural resources. This makes Africa a very key place to set up forced labor camps, have bad working conditions, to exploit. Yes.
Camilo is really smart. Camilo slides by. Camilo doesn't know how to challenge himself. But if you have a research project like this one that we just did, he's responsible for research and critical thinking and working with others, which he's not so good at. And that is where you get Camilo to challenge himself and work hard. Because he had to try really hard to work with Johari, not be arrogant, and also pull him in. And he did it.
Wrote a little thing about South Africa on the side. I'll just read it. South African colors, whites and Asians, are divided into their own areas. Whites in South Africa are reserved 87% of the land. Africans only have 13% of it. And that And that's in the poorest areas like Bandstand.
Now what happens? What's the effect?
The effect sometimes is that the white settlers...
Jahari learned something and therefore was able to tell people what he learned. He was really able to say, this is going on in this part of the world, this is the problem, this is what's happening, and this is why, and this is what I think we should do to solve it. He contributed. So when people say to me, I'm worried that my kid isn't going to be challenged in a heterogeneous classroom, my response is, how can they not be? Because what we're doing is not easy. What we're doing is challenging kids to really look within themselves and to grow.
This article has some very strange facts from the beginning. But what you're going to do is you're going to rewrite at least...
David Bai also teaches a D-track English class, but is more skeptical of the program.
You can have different groups working on different projects. Maybe the enrichment, kids are doing one thing, and the kids who are just getting their basic skills are doing another activity. But that's basically segregation within the classroom. I don't see that as accomplishing the goal of integration. That's a rarely heard of school, right? I've heard the higher skill kids complain more than once. We're tired of being the teachers. We want to learn. We want you to be our teacher. So to keep all of the different students engaged, I as a teacher would often have to come in with 3 or 4 different lesson plans. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not willing to do that every day. I'm a public high school teacher. I don't think I'm supposed to be a saint or a martyr. I want to be a good teacher, but I think that most days I should have to come up with 1 lesson plan.
I'm sure there's a lot of positive comments, but the experience for my daughter has been 100% negative. And she's been in Berkeley schools since kindergarten and has always been in heterogeneous classes. But as she gets older, the disruptive students, the difference between the students who are serious and trying to learn and those that are not trying to learn becomes greater. And now in her English history core classes, it's the worst. She has a large contingent of disruptive students, and her English teacher in particular cannot handle them, and she feels she's learned nothing this year.
I can give you anecdotes like about program curriculum from history where they cover nationalism, imperialism, and feminism. And this is the period where they have Renaissance, they are supposed to have Renaissance, they are supposed to have Enlightenment, they are supposed to have Industrial Revolution. It does not exist. They are getting handouts on feminism issues. When I asked my son what Michelangelo has done, he didn't know, but he knew that Michelangelo was a gay. So I can give you dozens and dozens examples like that.
I want to say that I almost view it from another perspective. Maybe if he didn't have the 4 best teachers in this school this year, he did have a classroom full of kids that taught him something. So I don't know whether that's an unpopular opinion, but it's one that I have.
For Jim Henderson, the parents' concerns are a political problem. The controversy over detracking comes amidst growing fears about safety in the school.
But I have a concern, and that is about the safety.
The thing that I feel very strongly about in trying to convince them is that it goes back to detracking or all of our efforts to make this a successful school for all kids.
We're in a society now where...
In the same vein they fear for safety, the kids that are acting out because of their anger.
We have a responsibility. This has to be safe.
My goal is to get the successful group of parents and students here to start to realize that once we upgrade the education we give to kids who are unsuccessful, safety will not be our major problem.
And Berkeley High is a great high school because it has not held back strong students from moving ahead quickly, where the same person who cannot write a complete sentence is there with somebody who has poetic skills.
Multicultural issues are not the same thing, and I think it's a tremendous mistake to try to run those together.
Fast track has nothing to do with multicultural.
Right. So this is the multicultural coordinator
the
and the
fast track
plan.
is the white track. I mean, if you look at the statistics, who's on the fast track?
I don't think anybody should be apologizing for whatever color shows up in the fast track,
It's not
as long as there's access.
It's not a matter of showing up, and there isn't any access. And you just made some really dangerous assumptions in what you said. What I just heard you say was that somebody who can't put together a sentence shouldn't be in the same class as somebody who has poetic skills.
No, I do feel that way. That if you don't segregate children by ability, you're going to dilute the result to such an extent that you're going to have a soup that tastes foul to everyone and where nobody is motivated.
How can they move up to the higher track? If they're kicked out, then they cannot learn.
Life is cruel. And there are people who are cut, just like a football team.
And how do they switch? How do they switch to the higher track?
If they're immediately cut, all winners in our society.
But then,
and it's something we're not willing to face.
But how can
I'm
this
just
work if
really
people
sick
can't
to
switch
death of
tracks?
this intellectualizing while students are dropping out. Children of color are committing suicide. The highest dropout rate in the country is with students of color. The D&F rate in this school among students of color is a national scandal.
Well, if you're feeling guilty about it, make a concrete suggestion.
Excuse me, I'm not feeling guilty about anything. I'm not feeling guilty. I'm presenting a problem while you're intellectualizing. And that just really makes me sick. And this is the end of that discussion.
Was it well organized?
It was all right.
By the end of the first year of D-tracking, the number of freshmen receiving a D or F in English and history was cut in half. Still, the idea of extending the program into the 10th grade has met with great resistance.
When I try to bring this type of thinking, detracking the school, doing things differently, looking at kids in a different way, looking at the way you work in a completely different way, I definitely feel like I hit a wall. I hit a pretty big wall.
If I'm looking from this side, D is towards you. My own personal belief is that for them to say, let us untrack the classes, is a political statement and not a panacea, because integration by itself was not the problem. Untracking the classes is not going to be the solution. They can't run around with a political bandwagon saying, or waving this flag saying, untrack the classes, and as soon as you get this, we're going to achieve everything possible. It is not going to work.
American schools need to wake up. If the goal is successful integration, if that's the goal, if we're working still towards successful integration, then let's do it in a way that establishes an equality between people, where people's experiences, cultures, are equally appreciated, equally emphasized, and seen as equally significant and important. But as long as they're not seen that way, integration will not be successful.
Well, I think if the public schools fail at integration, and I think in many ways we are failing at integration, I mean, I think that would be my assessment at this point, it will create an increased crisis of racial conflict, of separation of people of different cultures in our society that will plague us and in some cases paralyze us. If our struggle to make diversity our strength does not succeed, we face not only as a school, but we face as a nation, I think, a very, very serious future.
Corporate America requires a compromise from nearly every person that works there. If someone is not willing to dress the part, it's not something that you can force them to do. Wear a tie. Wear a tie. You will be one of 10 people being interviewed, and you may be the only one with the tie on. And if you are, That's one more little point for you in the ultimate hiring decision. Dress like you were going to church with your boyfriend or girlfriend's grandmother. If you're going to make a mistake on overdressing. Don't, whatever you do, don't show up in sneakers and, you know, the hood and the hat and all that. Don't do it. The message you're giving is, I am willing to make the adjustments that are required to work for you. It's a compromise in some ways. Go ahead.
So what about the expression of culture? What if somebody has a certain culture that they love and that they feel is them? Should they have to change their whole appearance and put their culture in the background just in order to get this job?
It's a question you have to answer personally. The only thing that is out of the question is sloppy, bad attitude, an attitude with your appearance, with your walk, with your language, which is, I don't need you. That's what's out of the question. Anything else goes. This is America after all. It still is. In parts of the country it still is.
I just don't want to change for the situation.
You don't want to change because this isn't you.
Yeah,
right?
If I do that, that's not me.
It's not you.
I will do like that just for you. I'll do like that. And then when you start talking to Jemima,
you know what? Put it down. Keep it down all the time.
Okay.
I don't know. No, I really. You've got such a good-looking face. Huh? I'd really like to see your eyes. Can you?
I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna do this. Don't chirp, because I'm gonna do that. Don't
All right. Okay. Jeff, you've got lots and lots of goals and lots of dreams, and they'll be accomplished as long as there's a plan, you know, to how you get it. You just can't, whatever happens. So, do you have that plan written, or is it just in your head?
It really doesn't need to be written out, I don't think. I want to be able to produce my own movie, and the music. I want to do the music shawty. And
explain that to me, since I really don't know what that means.
Pretty much producing, and my ultimate goal is to have my own record company and distribution company. It's just a matter of what order drops first, but it'll all be accomplished. As far as school is concerned, I've always had problems winning. Academically, I've always been able to achieve. It's just you start to come in contact with teachers that don't really care.
I strike at the enemy before he has time to strike back, so there'll be no war of the stars today.
I feel that they should be going for imagination and creativity, because that's the only way things get invented. I mean, if you can imagine it, then there's a possibility that you can do it and that you can make it. But if you don't take time to imagine it, it can never come forth. You know, we worked well together, did a little fear. I put all the ideas together, put it on edit, and they're about to show it to you. Somebody gonna press play or something. Word.
Fear. I've had a few moments where I've been afraid.
Fear. It enters the mind of nearly every person on this earth. These very halls have been said to cause fear. Why?
Since school itself is a microcosm of society, the fear that is present in the school system is the fear that is present in society itself.
I've heard a lot of stuff about kids getting beaten up after school, you know, like in the G building and stuff. So I don't really go there by myself after school. But other than that, I don't really worry about it because I can defend myself if I have to.
Fear in these halls? As amazing a statement as that is, it has been spread throughout this school that these halls in the G building are in fact dangerous. Dangerous? What do people think is going to happen? Something like,
Open up your water.
want him to talk to you or something? Come on. Open up the locker. Say, punk, open up that locker. You want to say that?
Is that what's really going on in some people's minds? Total darkness? Why can't they see any light? Is it because they fear that if they open up their eyes, it will be to a reality that will look something like this?
Hey, homie, you all right? You all right, homie?
Hey, do you want me to call the hospital?
Damn, man, you look fucked, man.
You want me to call the hospital?
You okay? You okay? Hey, what's wrong with you, dude? Why you looking into my mouth?
Why you all blurry? What's the matter? Can you see me? How many fingers am I holding up?
Damn. What happened? Are you okay? Hey, well, you don't need this chain, do you?
It has been learned that much of the violence on this campus is caused by people coming from other places onto the campus. And I think that's the reason for, you mentioned briefly, you might talk about it a little more, the fence to try and keep people out. If we can do that, I think that will eliminate a lot of the problems.
Yeah, we're real clear that that's where about 70% of our problem comes from, is off-campus non-students. And that's why we feel like the fence is critical to us.
Unless you're dealing with issues such as gathering data as to who was perpetrating these acts and who's the recipient of it, unless you're dealing with issues of race and ethnic-based violence, you're not addressing the issue of violence at Berkeley High, which is endemic to most urban areas.
I have not heard of a student who has been hit, slugged, etc. on this campus who has had it done by a stranger. Yeah. And I'm talking in recent months. And so what we may find that the fence has now made the lunatics stuck in the asylum.
Take the G building situation. The scene showed earlier is an example of the stereotypical hall of the G building, but here's the reality most find.
Hey, yo. Hey, what time is it? Hey, what you tripping off of, man? What you scared of? You afraid of something? You coward.
Why is there so much darkness in people's minds? When will they ever take the time to truly open up their eyes? Shake off their frustrations, and slowly but surely get up, and then tackle their truest fear. And what is their truest fear? Then again, what is yours?
Me. They fear me.
I wanted people to look at the fact that lots of things in the school based on fear are being overlooked. Fear is not looked at as the problem, but just as another thing that happens as a physical reaction to what happens, when actually fear is one of the main roots of the problem.
You can say it is ignorant, but there's a cause for it. I mean, there's a cause and effect happening. I mean, people hear about it happening and maybe even see their friends get beat up or themselves get beat up, and then they just have the fear that it'll happen to them all the time when they see someone that fits a stereotype or fits a certain category that they fear.
Fear can cause violence. I mean, when I was a freshman, I was afraid. And I was short and I was afraid. and when I overcame that fear and began to not fear and made the conscious decision that I'm gonna stop altering the way I live my life because of this fear, I stopped getting messed with.
If you look at who's been the biggest gangster in the world, it's been Caucasian males, wiping out populations, genocide, Hitler, Columbus, and the majority of people in jails are black.
Wait a minute, let Leon say something. Leon is
lopsided? What do you mean?
But I'm talking about
the fact that all these blacks are in jails is whose fault? Is not their own, but their fault of the society.
There's a situation that's been perpetuated in everybody's minds. My mind, it's the psychological effects of slavery. The legacy of slavery still is with us today.
Yeah, I know you don't agree with this, but are we all Americans?
No.
No, why?
I don't consider myself.
Why? Look, I'm not even a first generation here, right?
You don't be an American outside of
You can have an American mentality.
For me, I'm not an American when I'm in America. I'm not even an American outside of America if I went out. That other people's view, who am I? I'm Jeff.
That's the thing. I look at America differently than that. I don't look at America as like, it's white America. No, it's all of us. And there happened to be slavery at one time.
But all of us don't survive. All of us do not survive successfully in this society. Listen, when the government looks at me, they don't look at me as an American. They look at the Africa in me.
You're still an American. You can't get away from that.
Please don't define. You defined me for too long. I've been a Mexican American, a Hispanic,
I've
a
defined
Latino.
you for too long.
Yes, you just called me an American. Please, I take that as an insult.
But you called me European. I mean, let's not get into a
That's the problem. We don't know each other.
Racism at Berkeley High is a problem that is subverted on the surface, but underneath the surface, the hate, the pain, and the prejudice run very deep. In my conscious mind, I can deal with these problems, but I can't seem to stop the fact that if I walk past a young person of color on an empty street, I get ready to block a punch.
The first skit we're gonna do, we want some people to get loose. We want some actors and actresses to get loose in this two-person skit. And I want Peter to be the street guy though. I want you to act like a G though. I want you to be like that. I want you to be a street guy, and I want Garay to be the advocate.
Am I black?
No, you Peter, dude. No, you're not. You're Peter. You're just Peter the cat that's just hard because we just swinging him.
I always dreaded the day when I would actually have to act. I guess I was afraid that they would expect me to be like them. I was afraid that I would be put in a black role, caught in the trap of either being a white fool or a white fool who was trying to be black.
We got a good thing going here. We on our own, and you're gonna throw it away. You're gonna ruin it for both of us. Don't you understand that?
I'm not ruining anything. I'm not stopping nothing. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. Oh,
You gonna stop?
I am. I swear I'm gonna go to canceling this time. I'm gonna really quit. I swear.
You gonna go to counseling?
Uh-huh.
Then let's go right now.
Okay. We can go right now. I'm gonna change. For real this time. I'm gonna really change. Okay.
As important as the issue of race is, and I think it's probably the single most important social issue that this country needs to deal with, I'm not sure that the adults in this community deal with it very well. No, let me say that more strongly. The adults in this community do not deal with it well. The kids deal with it better than we do.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Ramón Flores. Xochitl Rios, homecoming queen of 1994.
Él es Dios. I'd like to thank the Creator. I'd like to thank my familia. Gracias, Mami. I just wanted to say that it's important for all of us to be there for our young people. Take care of our young people. They're the future. Él es Dios.
Hello, I'm Isioma Mbanugo, and I stand on the shoulders of my father, Okechukwu Mbanugo, and I'll be attending University of California at Berkeley, majoring in medicine.
4 years ago, we could hardly imagine getting along with each other. But we've learned much more than that. We've learned to value learning. I imagine a world where there's no slaughter in Rwanda, in Haiti, in Somalia. I imagine a world where Bosnians and Serbs live together in peace. I imagine justice in Chiapas. I imagine all of Berkeley High students eating lunch together.
Dear Frontline, I am so
And
grateful.
now it's time for your letters. Go back to Mexico. Frontline's report last season on the influx of undocumented immigrants drew fire from many viewers in California.
Dear Frontline, I'm indignant about your head-in-the-clouds treatment of illegal immigration. You've never had illegals sitting on your chairs on the front lawn, had them dumped by smugglers in your alley or across the street. You, sirs, are not on the battlefield caused by the illegals, Mrs. Florence Joyner.
I was disappointed in your
John
program.
Nerl of Santa Monica sent a video letter.
Your conclusion, and one line in particular, perfectly expresses the odd mixture of arrogance and self-loathing that forms the core of liberalism.
In the past, we worried that immigrants would never become like us. We were wrong. Today, we worry about something new.
Your commentator, referring to illegals, said, "We worry that they will cheat on welfare, corrupt our politics, and watch too much TV. We worry that they will become like us." The contempt for America expressed in that statement is staggering.
But a different sentiment came from this viewer.
Thank you for your very compassionate, balanced presentation on undocumented immigration. It was very refreshing, as California and other parts of the nation seem to be awash in xenophobia, in particular in regard to Latinos. Sincerely, Dean Winery, Brea, California.
Interact with Frontline. Send your comments by fax to 617-254-0243, by letter or home video to Dear Frontline, 125 Western Avenue, Boston, Massachusetts, 02134.
What we got right now is not gridlock, it's pork lock.
More taxes, much too costly, more deficit, and more
Billions of dollars worth of pork.
Is this any way to run a government?
Enough is enough.
On Frontline.
Scandal after scandal.
It's a barnyard, all right.
Here, pork, there, pork, everywhere, pork.
Funding for this special edition of Frontline was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by annual financial support from viewers like you. This program was produced by the Center for Investigative Reporting, with additional funding provided by these funders. Frontline is produced for the Documentary Consortium by WGBH Boston, which is solely responsible for its content. For videocassette information about this program, please call this toll-free number, 1-800-328-PBS-1.
This is PBS.